good. All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Five Count. I'm Jack Edwards, along with. Listen, I'll do your introduction because you're a little bit fired up. Listen, he's from Dallas, by way of Port Arthur, Texas. He is my main man. He is 6'4" of twisted steel and sex appeal. He is Big George. Big G Sports Bureau, my guy, is here.
What's
We're
up,
live.
people?
I'm not sure where what we're live on, but we'll be sending out some tweets as we go. And my phone will go off. Still have a house phone. That emergency system. The whole thing goes. We're still locked in. You still call somebody. Call Ghostbusters if you need to. All right. Tonight we have a very special guest. We have a longtime friend of mine. I've known Cam for, years, 20 years, something like that. And we're talking championship belts. We've tried to do this for a long time. Everybody always talks about top 5 belts, the actual belts that they hold. And to quote Jim Cornette, they are belts. They're not titles. They are belts, championship belts for the title that you hold. So we are talking championship belts. Cameron Castator. Cam, live from Wasaga Beach, my hometown, Wasaga Beach, Ontario. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me. This is a long time coming.
It has been. It's been a time. We want to get you on here. Cam's one of my dearest friends, part of the pay-per-view crew. Whenever there's a UFC, it's usually me, him, and Fedorowski watching it. And but we're ready to go. Belts. We're going to talk about belts. But before we talk about belts, George, let's talk about belts going on right now in WWE. There's a lot of belts on the line Saturday. I can't wait for SummerSlam. I'm so excited.
Yeah, Saturday.
I'm like a kid again, baby.
Saturday's gonna be a real good day. We got a lot of storylines popping. We got a lot of feuds that are actually starting to bubble a little bit more. The closer we do get to SummerSlam, and the closer we do get to new pay-per-views, I'm starting to understand that the belts are starting to mean more. So I think that is starting to become a real big thing because, of course, there was a period where we were looking at 15 people in 3 months as a champion, and I was sick of it. But at the same time, now that we have a little bit more of a tenured belt, I think we can look forward to pay-per-views a lot more. So, you got the world heavyweight champion Damian Priest, who is taking on Gunther, the Ring General. So I think that's going to be a good match to kind of start off, as far as SummerSlam this weekend. Of course, you got CM Punk and Drew McIntyre's feud that is almost
that's the real main event
worthy.
That's the main event.
That's championship worthy right there.
Yeah,
so,
that's
but of course, you can't stray away from the actual main event that should be, which is Cody versus Solo.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
I want to see that match because there's the speculation of it being a bigger pay-per-view than WrestleMania has been put out there, which you're gonna have to show me, baby. Because I've seen some stuff, and WrestleMania 40 was actually really good and probably really hard to top. So I want to see where they go with it. Of course, this week has been a big week in wrestling. So what are you guys really interested in right now? I mean, there's a lot going on, so I'm pretty sure everybody has a little bit of a taste.
Cam, what are you thinking, man? What do you like?
Well, I don't think it's going to have anything to do with SummerSlam, but I'm loving the return of the Wyatt Six. I mean, I'm loving that. Why? I was a big Bray guy. I loved him because I'm a big guy, and you know what? Big guys need to be shown as well. You're not the typical 6-pack. He was a big boy, and I like that. And rest in peace to him. That he's gone too soon. But I like how they're continuing his storyline, and I'm loving the guys that are in that group. The guys that are outsiders coming back.
I don't mind them. I don't mind.
I know. I just hope it doesn't phase out. It's it's not like a gimmick and all of a sudden they're gone. The crowd has had enough of it, or that's what I'm liking right now. I'm liking the the Rhea feud right now. I'm so glad she's back because I love her. She is hot. I think she's the hottest there. I'm sorry. I see her come on the screen. I'm like, yeah, that's my girl. So
Hotter
I
than
was,
stove.
oh yeah. I mean,
I've
there's
seen
something.
multiple tweets asking if Buddy can fight. So I'm he's a wrestler, so but yeah, she
Listen,
definitely catches a couple of eyes here and there.
Yeah. So I'm predicting on that fight. I'm predicting that Dirty Dom is going to be screwing somebody in that match.
Oh yeah.
Who I don't know, but I don't know. I think he goes with Liv. That's my thoughts.
I think so too. I think that's where it's heading. I think this is like the destruction of the Judgment Day or the startup.
I think it's Finn Balor who does all the destruction. I think Finn
I think
Balor
he.
turns on everybody and goes off with Liv because, of course, him and Liv had a little thing going on too, but Dominic's was just the forefront of it all. Yeah, we kind of see Finn Balor kind of play in the background, and him and Damian Priest get into it here and there. So it might be a little bit more meat on that bone. So I'm pulling for Finn to be the outlier here.
Well, I'm interested in Damian Priest and Gunther, but that Punk versus Drew McIntyre, I love the Seth Rollins. I don't know what like Dave Meltzer was on there talking about. That's his gimmick. We wears crazy shit. Why is he not going to do his gimmick?
I wonder if Dave Meltzer had a problem when Shawn Michaels had the cut off sleeves when he wore into the guest referee role. So I mean, Dave is picky and choosy when he wants to hate something. So
listen, I just I had no problem with it. Like I love that they made him that spot. I think that's an awesome way to continue that whole deal because everybody wants to see them fight, and it's like it's got that big fight feel, and that's what you want. And I'm excited for Cody and Solo. I think somebody's coming back. I think that's what happens.
Man, I think
Roman comes back. Yeah, I think he comes back. I think he's coming back, and I think he screws Solo out of the belt. I think he.
I hope he does more than that. I hope he comes in and does something with the bloodline. I hope so. I hope he just kind of crashes.
I think he screws Solo. I think that's what happens. Yeah. I think he's coming back, and then he's going to start his own. Like he'll get Jimmy and Jay, and he'll get maybe the new Fatu, or I think whose brother is he? I forget. I think he's Haku's other son. He's coming in.
Zilla.
I think so. Yeah, and so. We'll see, but I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. Finally, so we're talking championship belts. So Cam, you own the spinner, the big gold belt. Is that one signed by Ricky Steamboat?
My big. Well, here I'll just show it. There's the big. That's the big one there.
That's the big goal. Did Ricky Steamboat sign it?
Ricky did sign it. He did. I got that one, and also Bret Hart signed it.
That's
nice.
Cool. That's dope.
Yeah, I got Bret to sign that. Awesome. And then Ricky was a stud. I loved when Ricky was here. When you brought him into Collingwood, that was I think that was probably one of the best times was him. Him and when you brought Jake the Snake in, that was killer because Jake was awesome. But Steamboat was there and he was teaching the guys, and he actually had them in the ring and he was saying this is this and showing them the ropes, and they were listening, and that was impressive.
He was because Cam is always been when we bring in a guy, he's always the guy who kind of helps them sell merch and takes money and different things like that because I trust Cam, and Cam's the big guy. And that's funny. Both of you are big. Both of you played on the offensive line.
Nice. Left tackle? What'd you play?
All day, every day. Let me take that blind side. Let's do it. I was
Yeah.
always a left tackler. I wanted to
Yeah.
play right tackle, but the body switch was always insane. So that was
Yeah.
my thing.
But yeah, so yeah, Cam was always the guy. So you got to meet all of them, right? And like
Yeah.
Steamboat was the best experience
Oh yeah.
because he was just super awesome. And the great story about him was Steamboat brought his actual Intercontinental belt. That was the real deal, right?
That was it.
Yeah, and he was like, so, and I was driving Ricky around, which was amazing. But like, he had this, he had the belt in the car, and it's like, hey, do you want Ricky? Don't forget this. He's like, I'll leave it in the car. So I had to go visit a buddy, birthday party, drop, I think it was Claire off at a birthday party, and I said, look what I got in the car. It was the real shit. It was like, holy crap. And then the $1 million belt was the other one. Ted brought the $1 million belt, and which was really cool. So like we had a lot of those cool things. But Cam, why were you always attracted to the belts? What was it about the belts that you drew to? Because you were really a belts guy.
Well, I think I think I got started on it because one of our buddies, he owned every one of them, and he got me started on them. He had every single belt, and even the deluxe models. He had I guess you could say the cheapy ones, but he also had the deluxe, the 4 mil, weighed about 25 pounds. And I don't know how much money he spent on those, but I know my two were expensive.
Well, listen, he had the Winged Eagle, the Big Gold.
Yeah.
I believe he had the old school WCW, the one that Ron Simmons held. He had a tag belt, ECW's belt, ECW's tag, the television title, the US. Like he had 10 belts. He had
a couple of the ICs. He had Stone Cold's belt. That one Stone Cold.
Smoke Skull.
Yeah.
The Smoke Us All. He had that one.
It was wild.
He had so many. It was unbelievable. He had just had his own room that the belts were in a spare bedroom, and they were just scattered all over the floor. That was it.
That is insane.
At one point he had them mounted. It was really cool. I went to WrestleMania with him, and he got I forget I think he got the Undertaker to sign the Winged Eagle.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones. Like he had the belts. He had a couple of belts with him, and I know he had the Undertaker. But I lost touch with him after a while. I think I made a comment one time that pissed him off. I was young and stupid, but he was he became a cop and just kind of disconnected. He was a good guy. I worked with him. I was really close. We went to a really awesome show once in London. He and I. It was Jerry the King Lawler was on it, and Tornado, who's since become my partner, is worked Steve Corino for the world title. And I think he got. I don't know but he had all these belts. It was crazy to see them all. And I was like,
yeah,
I made my own belts. I have other worst belts. I have a belt that I made, but everybody I've ever met signed it. I love the belts, but I was belts on a budget, baby. I was not gonna misspend money.
Yeah.
My dad was a welder and an upholsterer. I said, Dad, hey, could you help? And he did a bit. Aaron painted a couple, but we've since got belts now that are fucking awesome. Our belts now are good.
But see, I got my belts way before marriage and kids, your own house. I had my own money, and now, I can't get those anymore. The price of them are unbelievable. $700 and some odd dollars, in Canadian dollars. It's just I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's about $450 American and $500 depending on.
But I mean, they're coming up with these other belts now that are for football teams, baseball teams that are all now under the WWE. So I mean, but those are the same price. I don't
like the NFL belts.
No,
the one I like actually is the Leaf belt. The one that the Leafs it's kind of like the old school IC
Yeah.
with the maple leaf. That's awesome. The one Edge has that belt. That's sweet. Like
Yeah.
but I have no place to put it, and I would never buy it. But it's like that's a sweet belt. The
I know,
Chiefs
John.
one,
That's the one that you want me to get. John, you always say, Cam, you got to get that leaf.
yeah,
belt.
you should get that belt because
I'm gonna
that's
try.
a belt you.
I'm
That's the
gonna try.
belt you need to get because like that you could justify because it's gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to sign, but I know Daryl Sittler at one point or another we could get him to sign that belt
Yeah.
because Cliff from the Rye Build, who's awesome, and sponsors of wrestling, he always has Daryl Sittler in for things,
Yeah.
usually for Special Olympics.
Yeah.
That's where he met Wendell, right? Like
Yep.
George Wendell Clark, I can't describe to you. Like he's not the greatest player in hockey history. Like he's not. But like he played with a ferocity that was just like you could not describe. Like he was his peak, like he was an amazing like he was one of the best fighters in the league. He could hit, he had a great shot, he could score.
He did
like,
all the little things.
Oh no, he did everything. And he was like there's this one hit he has Bruce Bell behind the net. This was before they started worrying about CTE. Man, he flatlines that guy. Just done.
He's still
And
not.
yeah, I met him, and like he's not like a huge guy, but you could definitely tell immediately that that's a different human being. He had big hands,
Oh yeah.
like and big, and he looked like he could still beat the shit out of you. But he's not. But he's revered because like of the way he played the game. Like when I think of a hockey player, I think of him because he's not the greatest of all time. That's Wayne Gretzky. Everybody knows it. But like he was like George, like so. We met him at this Reliable deal, and Cam's got some other merch. I was like, Cam's like, I was free because like Cliff brought the guy in for Reliable. Daryl's like, hey, come on, and he's a big star. He's like in these parts. Woo.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Cam, if you ever get that, I'm sure one time we get Sittler to sign it. But anyway,
there could be a way.
we went off track. So sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wrestling belts, we create a top 5 list. So here we go. Cam, you're gonna get 2 picks. So you go first, and then we'll get George to go, and then I'll go.
Okay.
And then you'll go. And then the 3 of us, we're going to figure out where we go for number 5. So, Cam, kick off. Who is your top 2 belts?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be on everyone's list, but mine is it's the Winged Eagle. That's the one. That's my number 1. I love that belt.
That's the best belt of all time.
That is, yeah. When that came out, and seeing it on TV, but when you see it up close, like when we had it with our buddy Matt, and you see it was just the detail, and
so
not alone,
beautiful.
not just the eagle on the front, but just like the smaller clasps down the side of the belt, right down the belt.
Yeah.
It just everything about that. You had that, you were a champion.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
But I know that there was different styles of that when it came out. Mine, it was the black strap with the gold.
Yeah.
I know Ultimate Warrior, he came out with one. I think it was blue,
yellow and blue,
or yellow and that. I think Sergeant Slaughter, when he had it, it was a purple. He had
a white
and a purple strap.
Yeah, white too.
Mine was the black strap with the gold. It stood
the one
out.
Randy Savage won at WrestleMania 4.
You
know why that's to me that's the best belt, because if you brought it back today, just change nothing, it would still be incredible.
Oh yeah.
It would still if you brought it back, you pulled that up and it was the Winged Eagle with the WWE logo in where the like that's it. Like that's what you need. Like it's just so. I remember, because I never forget the first time I saw it was the big event, 1988. And that was Hogan versus Andre 2. And, of course, I was allowed to stay up and watch it. And I don't know why I remembered, but, Hogan, had his old belt, which was awesome too, in the interview. But when he walked through the curtain, he had the winged eagle.
Yeah.
And then, went on TV Aussie. It was awesome. Like the best guys in the business held it in like within 6 weeks. But I loved it. George, what do you think of the winged eagle, my man?
So the winged eagle for me was one of those. It kind of like the era of wrestling where I watched. I felt like it went away too early, even though it had been around for years at that point. Still could have revised it in a way that could have kind of kept it intact and still kind of kept that belt around. Because even with Big Gold, they didn't actually take it away. They kind of made another variation of it, which was a little bit smaller with the red rubies in it. So not mad about that, but of course, I wish they would have did something like that with Winged Eagle, not necessarily taking it away from the look completely, because I feel like when they came out with the globe after that one,
they did that when they brought that out at the Attitude Era, and that's the one that
with the Austin belt.
He won it from Michael.
I didn't mind that version either. I liked that version.
But I guess they were going that route. They were going that route where it was, the Attitude Era. This is Austin's era.
Mm-hmm.
Let's change it up. And then I, they brought that one out, which it had an eagle on it, but it was the more round.
And
but you couldn't see the eagle.
That's the thing. I wanted to see the eagle more, and I felt like the eagle kind of represented that version of that belt, which could have been something that was not necessarily taken away. I feel like the more you kind of seeing it revamped, the more you seen the eagle go away instantly.
But it's amazing that the winged eagle that Savage had and Hogan and that it was only for 10 years. It was a decade, and that was it.
But it was like that was the one that like that But it was
way ahead of its time, to be honest. If you think about it,
it was way ahead of its time. Like because they went like some of the other belts were kind of the same, all kind of the same type of deal. But when they came out with that was different. Like I mean, and like I like I like Backlund's belt, the one that Hogan originally won, the big green. I like that one. I think Hogan came up with another one after that. Then he came up with a kind of a bigger version of that. That's the one that he had when he beat Andre. But like that winged eagle was like, it's just like it was like, whoa, what is that? Because I had all the LJNs, right? And they had like the little belt. So not that matter, I chew the shit out anyway. So but it hey man, whatever. I had fun.
Hey, you had a belt. You had belts.
Right.
I had belts. There you go. But like, that thing was just that was good. So Cam, that's one. What's two? Where are we going with two?
Two? Oh, it's mine is the IC belt with the white strap. Kurt Hannon had it, and then they brought it back when Cody brought it back with a little bit of a slight change to it, but I love that belt with the white strap on it. That was a beaut.
We say the white and black strap because the black strap.
Was kind of
I like the white. That white.
I don't mind the black. The black is more synonymous to the Attitude Era for me. I think the white, when back in the day when they brought it out initially, the white was kind of.
Who held the white one though? Like, was it just Henning that held the white one? Because Bret won the one. I think Bret Hart won the black one.
Yeah, I think Kurt brought out. I think Henning
Shawn
brought out
Michaels,
the white.
And Shawn Michaels had it. I think when Shawn Michaels had it, it was white.
That's right.
But then was it? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I don't care. That belt is awesome.
Yeah,
like that was one of mine. So the IC was one of mine.
And I like how that they brought it back. Cody brought it back. So which is making me think that if Cody brought back that one, something's going to happen with that the belt right now, and I hope to see something that is similar to the winged. I know there's been speculations. There's been people putting posts. Are they real posts?
Just
who knows?
Bring back the old winged eagle. He doesn't have to do anything because it's like it's like it's the America's like it'll fit him. It's the winged eagle, black winged eagle. Just have him standing there. It's like it fucking fits perfect. Yeah. That's all you need to bring back. And it's like change the WWE logo. Like, so I had the IC too. Like, it's just classic.
Yeah. It was
So
clean. I like a clean,
very
belt.
clean.
Nothing
Yeah.
too 3D-ish. Like I'm gonna say it right now, and we'll probably talk about it later. But probably the worst belt that they've ever bought was the new ECW belt. That
Boy,
was.
whew.
I don't
You
know.
hit a nerve. Boy, it looked like the grill on a PT Cruiser. It was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like,
We'll probably go down that avenue a little later. But
yeah, no, yeah, we're gonna talk about that later.
yeah,
But that, yeah,
The shittiest belts.
oh yeah,
There's a
that can
few on
definitely
that
be on the
list.
back end.
there's gonna be a lot.
But yeah,
But just
um,
clean belts I liked.
Yeah. George, you're up next. Who's your pick, man?
so I'm gonna turn the clock a little bit, and I'm gonna change the channel too. So I'm going to go WCW US title.
Which
That had
one?
another, um, the one that
Because it was
Luger held
in like the 90s.
in the '90s. Yes,
So like the early 90s Luger.
yes,
Okay, so the one he had at like Super Brawl 91.
yes.
Yeah, I love that belt. Like, I love that belt. And it looks so good on Luger because Luger was fucking money. Luger
Luger
gets
was
shit on a lot.
huge.
I liked Luger. So
That was one of my favorites because, of course, it shined perfectly. You could see everything on the belt. It wasn't too cloudy. It was definitely kind of like you say, Cam, a clean belt. It was really good as far as it had one of my favorite features on there, a nice winged eagle that you could see, but it wasn't overpowering to the point to where you couldn't see the United States logo on there, and just kind of a nice, clean, good gold belt. Black strap, nothing too crazy. It was lovely. It was simple.
So, if I'm able to do this, how do I share a picture? Anyway, I mean, I'm not sure how to do it. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But whatever. I know which one you're talking about. It's like, it's sweet. It's really nice. If you look it up, Cam, I'll send you a picture. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I saw it here. I remember that one, and
yeah,
it fit Luger.
Fit Luger.
It fit Luger. It fit Hennig really well when he came over and stole it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And of course, I just feel like it kind of personified the U.S. champion. It was the belt that they fought for real. Like, I didn't feel like the TV title held enough weight at all. Like, every time I watched it, of course, it was the TV title, so it would actually pass hands a little bit more. But when it came down to the U.S. title, it was something held sacred. Just kind of like the World Heavyweight Championship, it was held sacred. You couldn't just walk in and take it and just be anybody. You had to earn it. So that's one of the reasons why I love the belt too, is that it was a good workhorse belt. But of course, that workhorse champion would have to earn that belt if he was fighting for it. So I loved it.
Well, you took that one. So
I have some AEW going on in the background here. I'm just watching. We're talking about belts, so I'm watching AEW as we're recording at the moment.
Oh, you're watching AEW. That's all right. So I'm gonna go with my pick, and it's a little off the wall. And again,
I'm interested here.
I always loved the WCW World Heavyweight title that essentially came after the big gold belt. But since nobody has picked the big gold belt, it's got to go on the list, even though it's not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But I just transitioned. I got to pick the big gold because it means so. It was Ric Flair's belt. Like, if you're talking about what it means to the business, it's Ric Flair's belt. So the big gold belt, people would kill us if we didn't have the big gold belt on the list. I don't know if it's going to be the number one or not because we still have to figure out the order of this. But the big gold belt, I think, has to be on it. So that's mine. So we got three more belts to choose from. Cam, do you have another selection for the contender for the top 5?
You know what? I'm probably going to go with, and it's grown on me now more that I've looked at it, and this is the WWE belt that Triple H was the first holder of. I think that was the unified championship belt.
After he won it at WrestleMania 18.
That's right. They dumped the big gold, which I thought was a mistake at first, and then they just went to the unified championship belt.
They had both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
The one Brock got eventually. The one Brock had.
Undisputed.
Yep. Brock got it.
Yeah.
Triple H, The Rock. They got those ones.
Hogan held it too.
Hogan, and it's funny. I was watching it. Hogan was the last WWF champion to hold it, and the first WWE champion to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, of course, you got to do Hogan as the GOAT.
Yeah.
If a lot of people say Hogan's the GOAT, and that's how they did it. They signed off as WWF, and they signed back on as WWE, and he had it. Not for a long time, but he had it.
Yeah, like a week.
Yeah.
Right. A whole few.
They gave it for him a week.
Yeah. I loved Undertaker then, though. Big Eel.
That one, Eddie Guerrero held it.
Yeah.
And
a lot of good guys hold it.
Yeah. It worked.
So
I think that was
it looked great on Brock.
Yeah. But you know what the funny thing is? It was only around for 3 years. Another one of those ones that just here and there and is gone.
It got passed around a lot too, because Cena had it too, didn't he?
Cena was the last guy to have it.
Cena was the last to have it, and then that's when the spinner.
The spinner came out, yeah.
Yep. Right after he beat JBL, he brought the spinner out on SmackDown.
Listen, the spinner U.S. title is one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I love John Cena. Like, I respect everything John, and I get it. People are buying that shit, and it's like I respect it. Same with the spinner belt. It was it was a good gimmick.
Yep.
But it's just like I'm like,
what's
not my style. And the U.S. one was
that U.S. belt. After he did that, I just knew every title that John Cena was going to win from then on out was going to be a fucking spinner. It was going to piss me off if he worked down the goddamn. I'm going to get the tag team belts too. Don't you do it, John. Don't you do that bullshit. But
here's the thing about what's funny about the U.S. belt though, is like we have the Luger one on the list, which is a great call, but that belt progressively got worse. The one that like Rick Rude held and like then eventually like Hennig and the DDP and in the WCW Monday Night Wars belt, that was a nice belt. But when the WWE came out with that U.S. title that was the flag, it was garbage. I mean, just like it was horrible. And then they brought out the spinner one, and that was even worse. And the one they have now, like it's a trash can. Like you might as well just like it's awful. It's just like it's up. It looks like somebody put it. It just doesn't. Like again, you bring back that Luger belt, like a little bit modernized. That's a good belt. Like that would be good. Like I think what's old is kind of new again, and those belts are kind of timeless.
Right.
I mean, that's
the thing that you're starting to see is some of the old things can come back and give you a fresher feel than some of the things that have been going on.
Yeah.
Some of the storylines that they brought in today, some people wouldn't even know that some of these storylines have already been done. Of course, you can easily see the Dom and Rhea, effect being the China and Eddie thing. Yeah, but of course, the other storylines, you got with Drew and Punk, there's a lot of different storylines that had a guest referee, but I don't think there's one bigger than the role with Shawn Michaels in it. And, of course, that's kind of where they're kind of replicating that. You got a high-profile star who's definitely somebody who's not to be on the shelf, who's definitely a wild card, so he can go either way. But like I say, bring some of that old stuff back and make it a little bit more new, like you say. That U.S. title was great, and that's my pick, so I ain't going to say nothing else about it. So
the thing is, Sean, though.
We have go ahead.
The thing is, was what Could you see though, like if they brought that belt back, the old U.S. belt,
Yeah.
and put that on Logan Paul right now, it just would not look good. Sorry.
I think he look awesome.
You think so? He would look good on that with that one?
Put a
He
white
looked good at
strap on
any
it.
belt.
I mean, anything would look good better than
Yeah.
the one that's right now that's there.
Right.
Yeah,
But the thing
that's
about it is,
horrible.
I put it to you like this. I feel like if he had that belt, it'll look better on him and it'll have more of a prestige. Like the belt that they have
Yeah.
now, I'm not gonna lie to you. It doesn't look like it holds weight. It looks like it's just something for Logan Paul, who's not really a wrestler, quote unquote, which is actually a wrestler. It's
Yeah, but
like it kind of belongs to him.
It
Like
looks
it
plastic.
sucks.
it looks
It looks
fake.
plastic.
It looks
looks
like you can
Yeah.
squeeze it and it's gonna some
Yeah.
air gonna pop out. Like
Yeah.
you can bend that. It's just it doesn't really look good. But at the same
No.
time, like I say, if you brought that old US title back,
Yeah.
revitalized it a little bit. Of course, it can't just come out the box. You
Yeah,
gotta do
you
something
got
else to it. You definitely gotta freshen that up a little bit.
The thing I look at it is that I look in the crowd during the show and I see which belts are out there that people have on their shoulders or they're holding up, and I that's what I look at and I see, okay, which one is selling? You know, which one? And that U.S. belt is selling that they have right now, but it's kids that have it.
Ugh.
The kids love it, you know, because it's
I
Logan
know,
Paul, it's Prime,
but I don't.
he's this, he's that, you know.
I
So-
tell you what, that Prime Hydration Station is the new Spanish announce table. That thing gets fucking torn apart every show. That thing's gone. It's like, oh, they're good, they got it. Somebody's going through
they
that
knocked out
shit.
the Prime. Oh, somebody's spilling Prime on somebody.
Yep.
So, George, we got the WWE Undisputed. What else? What other belt do you think deserves to be in the top 5?
None. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Because the thing about the belt is there's so many bad versions of good versions of belts that it's like you literally have an echelon of belts and then the shit that they brought behind it. Literally. And then there's before and after. And it's like, there's only a certain amount of belts. Now, there may be another one that you can kind of throw in. And I would probably say the old tag team belts. 98 to 2002. That was a horrible, rendition of it. But the original ones that came out, those could be up there too.
They were the same in the 80s. Like they were the 80 from like they were from like the Bulldogs held them, Dream Team held them first, and it was like 85 till 2001, 2002.
I would say before that, because they came out with another version of it, which wasn't exactly the same as that old version that you're speaking of, which we're all kind of speaking of, but they made another version that kind of was a little bit wonkier than the original version. Then they came out with the ones that came out in 2002 that they brought over to SmackDown, which
the blue ones, they're all right.
Yeah. But they wasn't like the originals. The originals were top tier.
They weren't like the friggin' the penny copper belts that they just got shit canned. Thank goodness they got rid of them. They were horrible.
Well, the Raw was the penny ones, and SmackDown was the silver. Right. Out of any of the belts that they have changed, I am so glad that they changed the tags for both brands.
Both the new version.
I never understood those. I never understood the main with the gladiators on it. What are we doing here?
So I'm going to throw one more belt in a contender for the top 5, and I don't know if it'll be there, but I think I got to throw it in. It's the ECW belt, the one that Taz held. Yeah, that was a nice belt. Like that was that meant something. It didn't have.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, that looked good for ECW. The thing about
I still think that looked good for wrestling.
When they brought it to no. I'm not saying it's a bad belt for wrestling, but I just don't think it ranks up as high as the others. Like this is maybe like a 5 to 7, and it might make the list. That's this belt because of course.
So you're vetoing the ECW title?
Not necessarily vetoing, but I know it ain't making it past 4.
I got another one because I got a different one. If you want a veto, I got one.
Okay, shoot.
All right. The other one, and I'm going to mention it because I love it. It does not may not make the list, but I think I absolutely love it. And I said it before: is the world heavyweight title after the big gold belt, the belt that Ron Simmons won, the belt that Sting had and Vader had, and like I liked it because I started watching WCW a lot around that time, and like Sting had good matches against Vader with it, Cactus Jack. It was a like you mentioned a clean belt. It was a nice clean belt. Just it had a good size on it. I always loved that belt, and I'm sad. Like the big gold came back, and I get it. So, but I always liked that belt and that version of that belt. So
Not a bad version. Um, it's kind of in the same boat as the ECW title. It ain't
fuck
coming
off.
past. It ain't coming. So hold on,
A double
and
veto.
hold on. I gotta do this because I do this with every other thing. I do this with sports and I do this with everything. Would you put that past the first four, whichever they are, whichever order they come
No,
in?
it's okay. So
That's
no,
what
I
I'm
will not. But
saying.
I wanted to mention it. No, I wanted to mention it. I knew it wouldn't get there. I think like the two that were mentioned, I like everyone took all one because the tag belt, the IC belt, like
Mhm.
those are the ones. I don't know. That tag belt was so clean. Like it just had like, and it was around for so long. You know, like I'd probably put it in at five. For me, it'd be in five. I would put the tag belt over the undisputed, just because the longevity and it like every team fucking held it.
Yeah.
Every team who held the belts, like from like '85 to from the golden era to the and through the attitude era, every single tag team held that belt.
Yeah.
Like that was the WWF Tag Team Championship, and I think that to me, that legacy and the belt just looks awesome. It's just such a good belt, So I remember when Ric Flair came up with the World Heavyweight title. Um, he fucking couldn't use the world title anymore because legal reasons. So they had him holding up an old tag belt. I'm like, come on. Like, I know a tag belt when I see it. Don't give me that bullshit. Just get, you know. But I'd put it ahead. I don't know how you guys feel. So right now we got Winged Eagle, IC Luger, the big gold, and we got one more spot. So I'm voting for the tag.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
And just a question. You don't have to kind of throw this in there. This is maybe an honorable mention, and again, it may not be. Where do you stand on the NWA World Heavyweight title?
The 83 one, the Harley Race War,
Hmm.
I wasn't a fan of it. I never liked it.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
never
wanted to
liked
see
it. Yeah.
because some people really feel like that belt was one of the ones that they should have carried over throughout the business, and I'm just like, I'll ask the question, but I
I think
won't
it's too
actually put it in there.
small. You know,
Okay.
like the guys who held it, like if you want to talk about prestige, there's no like that's the belt.
There is
That's
no
the
better
most
belt.
prestige. That's the most prestigious belt in terms of because of the caliber of the guys who held it. Like I just don't when it comes to look and I just don't put it on that list. But there are a lot of people who think you're an idiot, so that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just for me, it's not there because I mean that was like maybe a bit before I started really watching wrestling. I respect the heritage,
It,
like I
it's one of
respect
those
it.
that lasted a while. Of course, that's why
Yeah,
I asked because, of course,
yeah.
some of the older wrestling fans might say the NWA World Heavyweight title was one of the ones that you just couldn't get rid of, and they shouldn't because it kind of not only glorified the business, but it kind of had every nationality, every country that was actually competing at this moment. I'm like, you can look at it that way, but at the same time,
Mm.
there were other belts that looked better. So
So
had to ask.
old,
Had to ask for the
old,
fans.
no problem. Old tag or WW undisputed. Cam, are you still sticking with the undisputed?
I'll go with a tag because you know what? You got to get a tag team belt out there too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think George. I think you got a winner there in the top five. I think that's the one. George comes through in the clutch, my man.
I mean, I ain't Steph Curry, but I am shooting from three. You did.
So we got 5 belts. What is like? Listen, the best belt in the history of pro wrestling is the Winged Eagle. I don't think there's a contender. I think
Without a
it's the
doubt.
best
Without
one.
a doubt.
When you talk about legacy, like that's the belt that Savage held and Hogan held and Warrior, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Stone
Flair.
Cold Steve Austin won that belt. Flair.
I wanted that Royal Rumble. Loved it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it looked great on everybody. So for me, I think, George, do you agree that the Winged Eagle is number one? Or are you going to fight Big Gold?
I won't fight Big Gold because Big Gold just didn't have that much detail as it didn't have as much detail as Winged Eagle. Still a beautiful belt, still one of my favorite belts overall. But Winged Eagle, as far as a design and as far as a look, Winged Eagle tops it.
So number 2.
This is where the meat
George,
gets hot.
Okay, what are you getting? What do you got? Who's number 2?
I'm gonna go with Big Gold.
Yeah, I think that's the only.
I think that's only fair.
That's the right
answer. It's like 1, 2. If one wasn't there, then it'd be the other one. So
now are we going with Big Gold WCW? Because when WWE brought it, they made a
Big Gold WCW. No. Give me the original Big Gold with the bend in the tip. Give me that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one with the rubies just didn't do it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I like the one that Flair held. That Flair originally had the first one. That Dusty held it, and then like Hogan held it. It's just like, yeah, it deserves to be number 2. That's for sure. Number 3. I'm gonna argue with the tag belt. I mean, I think like, I think that's. I don't. I mean, barely over the IC, I guess. Like for me.
Do you take it over the WCW US title?
The tag?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's over that for me. It's over that. It's over that. I love that tag belt. I'm fine. I'm going all in. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, are we sticking tag belt 3, or are we doing the US or are we doing the IC? I would also make an argument for the IC. Any version of that IC, I'm a fan of actually. The Warrior even had a fucking yellow one that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, so I am a fan. I think actually, maybe I'll change it. I think the IC belt has to be 3. Any version of it.
I was going to say to you, John, look, I gave you that tag team over the Undisputed. That's
as
far as I was going to go with that, buddy. That's as far as I was going.
I think he gave you a bona fide.
I think we switched. We pivoted. The IC belt, like any version of it. Like, I don't know. Like, did Warrior have like a blue one? Like, Warrior had different versions of all his belts, but the yellow one was sweet. The yellow one was really awesome. The white one was good. I love the original black one that Savage had, and Tito was the first guy to have it.
Yep.
And Tito was awesome. You never met Tito, did you, Cam?
No, I never made it to Tito. No, didn't get there.
Yeah, because he was, oh my God, he was amazing. That's the best guy. He was so funny. But that belt, I think any version of it is good, you know? So I think that's number 3. George, are you okay with that? Or are you going to think the WCW US?
I'm not going to pout like a child. So I'll let you guys have 3. IC title is not bad for 3 because it did have 3 variations of it that were different, but all still very good. So that is the reason why I would have to take IC over US. But don't you dare think that US is dropping any lower than 4. I don't even
it's 4.
think that you even have an argument there, sir. It is 4.
It is 4, and I think that's fair. And then the tag belt. Hey, why not? Yeah,
You tried, but hey, you got to be realistic.
Get him talking. Look at this idiot. Anyway, so those are the current belts. I actually want to talk about the current belts. I like the version of the world title. I don't mind the tags that they came out with. Anything was better than what they got, so that's fine. I still hate the current WWE title.
The best belt that they
Yes.
got right now is the North American title.
Yeah,
Hands down.
that's really good. It's nice.
Hands
It has
down.
the feel of that old school Backlund belt. I like the current IC. I really like it. I'm a big fan of it.
Not
I
bad.
like the belts, and I like the I like the belts, and I like the belts mean something again, like we talked about. It's like these are long-term storylines. I think for the belts, and I think that's good, and I think they're improving. Again, the U.S. belt sucks. It's horrible. It just I would love to do what Stan Hansen allegedly did. Was like they said you're no longer the AWA champion. Allegedly, he drove over the fucking belt with his tractor and sent it back to him. It was like, I got to get some water. The AWA had a couple nice belts too.
The AWA did have a couple nice belts, but none that I would make in this particular top five. Not gonna lie. Cam, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
We're talking about the belts that we like, and of course, there's going to be a segment that we don't like. Of course, there's always a section of the belts that we can say that I don't want this to touch a human body. You have to pick one. John, you pick one, and I'll pick one. Starting with you, Cam, what should have never been invented in your mind?
Current
And
or
you get
old
one.
or any belt.
Any belt, you only get one, and you can only throw it in the trash once.
That should never been the 24/7 belt.
Oh,
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, nah. That is a good one. That is definitely a good one. I wasn't a
It's up there
fan
with
of
my
it.
ECW one, but I'll get ECW above that one. That 24/7 belt was hideous, and I always thought it was just for the guys that were just not the mainstream guys, the guys that were just walking around backstage.
R-Truth did do a good job with it though. Like he did
Well,
a nice job.
What was he? 70 time reigning champ of the 24/7 belt.
Yeah, like
But
something wild.
I hated. So yeah,
It was bad.
good job. That's a good one.
That's one that
George,
should never have been.
why don't we just if we could, we'll run through it quick. But why don't we just put together on the top 5 of the shittiest
On the
belts?
side of the shittiest belts.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we already know what number 1 is. I think we can all unanimously agree that ECW belt that they had brought out was the number 1, the most disgusting belt that we have ever seen put together. I told the guys off camera it looked like the front of a PT Cruiser, and everybody was just walking around with that bitch on their shoulders, and it was ugly. It was bad. It was god awful.
Because that promotion sucked. I mean, it started some guys out who eventually became good stars, but like the whole thing, it started out like. I remember after One Night Stand, I'm like, this is going to be great. And it was on Global up here at like 11 o'clock at nights on Fridays.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't wait. I watched that first episode and said, this thing's the shit. Like, this is horrible. And then when they changed the belt. It was
Sunday Night Heat.
To that,
it was
worse than that.
You know?
Sunday Night Heat, any episode of Sunday Night Heat is better than that. It was brutal. And you're right, that belt sucked, George. So I'm gonna go with the fucking red and blue fucking gladiator tag belts. Like just run over those fucking things. Like
definitely had a definite stain. Like no matter how many times they changed the color, it still was a shitty belt. They changed it from copper to silver
Yeah.
to even they had a black strap. They had a nice little new set of plates on the side. Nothing worked for it. It just didn't hit with the audience. It didn't hit with the people who wore it. Like the whole time that that belt existed, I only think there was one tag team champion, and that was the Usos. That's the only people I ever seen holding belts in my mind. Now, of
That
course, I
sums those
know
belts up.
billions of people actually held them. It's just
That's
I stopped remembering the tag team champions and that the tag team division existed when those belts were being held. It
Didn't
just kind of
the didn't the New Day hold them for a
uh,
long time too? The New Day.
the New Day blinded us with
That
months
was
of having it, years of
yeah.
having the belts around this. Like it just was like I couldn't understand
uh,
why they kept them for so long, but honestly, like they wanted to kind of keep something around long, like they kept all the other belts around, because I can see them wanting to do that with them changing every other belt. Seemed like every 4 months or every superstar that got one. Like if you got JBL to hold the U.S. title, that was going to be a thing. And of course, that was just kind of their mantra for a while. Like everybody came in and got their own belt, so you know, to kind of keep one set of belts the same, but it was the most shitty belts that you could have kept the same.
Mm.
I mean, y'all could have definitely done something different. So
uh, okay, so we got two more spots. I'm throwing one out here. The spinner U.S. title has to be
absolutely,
fucking like fucking.
absolutely.
I mean, like respect. Like they threw out the WCW television title. It's too bad they didn't do the same thing to the spinner. You know, because that thing was atrocious. And I know, I get it, marketing for kids, so I understand it. But you like what you like, and I didn't like that belt at all.
Yeah.
You know,
But
We might
that's
have
when
to
it
vote
came
on
out for
one.
the PG rating, right? That was when WWE
Hmm.
went PG,
whatever.
right? And it worked for the kids,
That
and
felt
kids.
pretty PG, pretty garbage. That's what that felt.
It was pretty bad, real bad. Does
It
that
was
Take
lead
a
into
vote
the?
on the
Does
fourth.
it lead into the next one
and
now? The Spinner WWE?
No, because
no,
the
I'm
Spinner
not.
WWE wasn't
No,
as
no,
bad
No.
as the U.S. title. So I
no.
would actually buy the Spinner WWE Championship. I would actually buy that. Not a waste
Did
of
anyone
money at
sign?
all. Not a waste of money at all,
There
Cam.
it is.
Not
That's
a
my
waste of
last
money
belt
at
that I
all.
got. I got that signed. That's one signed by Brett. Now I know Brett hates this belt, so him signing it was a luxury because I know he went on TV and he said the spinner belt sucked. He didn't understand it.
Probably.
He always said that the classic winged eagle was the best.
I
And I
mean,
guess what
Because
Brett
it's the
says,
belt that he held.
I know that's the one he held. But yeah, I got that one signed by belt on the by Brett on the nameplate, and I also got Mick Foley is signed it. So
one of
We
the
brought in some really cool guys, man. Like
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like
yeah,
we've like Mick Foley we lucked into because the pizza place that was sponsoring us, the general manager's oh man, she was so awesome. She
hmm
came to me and they sponsored us. She's like, "Hey John, would you like to bring in Mick Foley?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." She's like, "My husband Justin, I believe Justin had cerebral palsy, but he
yep,
was I think that was, but he's like a musician and he was like I think like a speaker. He knew Mick Foley, so Mick came in. Mick signed. Mick gave like a ton of money to Special Olympics. Mick drove here, and it was freezing cold that day.
yeah.
It was fucking cold. Mick's like, "Thanks for the winter weather," and he drove from like Pittsburgh. It
He
was like,
drove straight from Pittsburgh, and that was just before he was going in for hip surgery too.
yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in like he was a quiet guy. Like at the bar, he was to kind of stay to himself, and
He
he was
was
quiet.
I think he was in a lot of pain that day because they were giving him
Yeah,
these like shakes that were kind of like infused with stuff, and like those green shakes
yeah.
because he
I
was
know he
hurting,
wasn't feeling great.
but he never complained about it. He was there for the
No,
kids,
he was
and the kids loved it.
Sacco. Put Sacco on Fat Elvis, and the place went bananas. There's this guy Lenny Lilac. He still wrestles to this day, George. Maybe one day I'll get him on a podcast. He was a great guy. But he was big. He was real big. I don't know how big he was, but he was a big guy. But like he had this hair, and he was a fat guy. The kids always chanted "Fat Elvis" at him because he did kind of look. And he was the manager, and like Foley came in, and Foley was managing Rosemary, who's on TNA now, against Casey Spinelli, who's the greatest unsigned women's wrestler on the planet Earth. She's so good. How she doesn't have a contract, I'll never know. She looks good. She can wrestle good. I don't know. She's great. So they were in the main event with Foley, and Mick put Sacco on Fat Elvis, and the place went crazy. So Mick was good, but we've had some cool people.
Yeah.
But the Spinner U.S. title, we agree, is in the top 5 worst belts. We got one more spot. What else are we throwing in that trash can?
Can I put one up? And I'll say this because I felt bad, and I'm gonna tell you why I felt bad. The Divas Championship was so fucking ugly. I felt like they didn't take women serious in the business at all. They gave them bitches a huge butterfly. And not to call the women bitches, let me take that back. But the thing is, that was a horrible belt. And the thing is, like, for me, it was a visual eyesore because it kind of made that division look not only unserious, but it looked like they was just playing with toys. Like, oh, the girls can play too. Give them a real belt because that wasn't it. Don't give me no pink and silver big butterfly that says Divas in it. It just can't. Nah, don't give me that. Give me a real belt. They didn't give them that. Throw that shit in the trash. I say the Divas belt.
Cams, you got anything to argue that?
Yeah, that was a tough one, and I agree with that. With they didn't take the women serious at that time in WWE.
Not at all.
They, and from then to now, the women are putting on a show, and now they've been doing really well, and they've been given now belts that mean something. They look good on them. I know, like the.
I still hate any version of the WWE, the current WWE type. Like, I love the World Heavyweight belt, the World Heavyweight Women's belt.
Yeah.
But like the WWE one, is it still the WWE? Or they changed it? Did I miss anything? Or is it still the same kind of the world as the Cody's belt?
Liv still has the one that's the WW.
Yeah.
No, sorry, she's got the other one. She's got the newer one. I think it's
World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, I think Bailey has
it. Yeah, so I don't like any version of that belt. I don't know if it tops the Divas Championship, but like I don't like that belt at all. I never have. It's just like it's a logo. Come on, man. I'd love to see Bailey have a version. I'd love to see them do like a new belt for Bailey. That's like more like that's different. Let's do something different. Don't do the same. Do something that's why I think they need to get like something like the Winged Eagle back and do something different for the women, like that really represents what they're all about. Like I love the world title. Like it's a good version. I like it, because it matched. I get it. You want them to match, but it was like if you bring back the Winged Eagle, bring back something for, like there was a nice Sherry Martel. There was a women's belt that she had in the 80s. That was really nice. It wasn't big, but it's a really nice belt. And I think if you kind of expanded on that, because I think that was the belt that was really nice. I think you could expand on that. But I'm just not a big fan of the logo ones, but it is what it is. But Divas Championship hard to top though, man. Like that's who. I mean, I didn't like the US belt that Eddie had with the giant flag. But I'll give you the Divas title. You're right. It was not taken seriously. It was just not. And I mean, they've since changed, and it's like, they're taking like, I'm like you. I love that US belt they got for NXT because it reminds me of Backlund's belt, the big green belt. Um, there's some really old school ones that are good. I always like the TV belt, and the WCW Cruiserweight belt was good.
What about the hardcore belt?
Oh, I hated it.
Was that worse than the cruiserweight title that they came out with on WWE 360? That purple belt.
Ugh.
Oh, so the WWE NXT cruiserweight one, that
Cruiserweight.
one.
I think they moved it to NXT, but
Yeah.
it was
It was the purple one.
that purple one, yeah.
That was wow.
That is the Divas.
I mean, all three of them are shit. But
they can share a trash can.
but I don't know.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan's gonna find all of them on WCW Saturday. Be like, shit. I'm the world champion. Hacksaw, another guy that we had, and he actually gave me this shirt. So he was awesome. But so Divas of the Cruiserweight, they both suck.
I'll still stick with Divas.
Yeah, I think so.
Divas.
Just
because Divas,
like, and that's
Divas
nothing against
a division of people. Like it hurt a whole division of people. Like
yeah,
the cruiserweight belt was bad, but I feel like they could throw it away.
Yeah, I think though that it's nothing against like the people, the women that were there, but it was just like the fact that they called them divas and not women. Why can't women wrestle? Like, why was the problem with that? And that was like, like it's just like I get it. Like I understand that, like. I understand it, but it's like you're right. It didn't take the division seriously. Now they take it. It's serious. It's serious business. It's big money. Like I said it before. Rhea Ripley's the best wrestler in the world. I don't care what gender. I think she's as good as anybody. I don't think there's anybody as good as her. Like she's right there. I think in terms of talent with Roman, with Cody, and those people. I think she's that talented. And it's nice that it's come around. But yeah, bang, listed the Divas title. So I don't know. We might as well. The ECW belt's number one because that's it. And then we could probably just, it doesn't matter how you throw them in the trash after that. Because it's like the ECW belt 24/7, the Gladiator tag belts, the Spinner US title, and the Divas Championship are going in the trash. With Eric Bischoff and fucking the WCW TV belts, unfortunately.
I mean, we could take Eric out. Eric was hot for a little bit.
I like Eric. No, I'm just saying he got thrown in the trash. Throw these belts in with him. I love Eric Bischoff, actually. I like his like I wish we could we'll never get Eric Bischoff on this podcast, but that's a guy I'd love to hear because like that's a dude that's like he's committed, man. Like the AEW and like I never thought I'd live to see the day that he and Jim Cornette have similar arguments about a promotion. Like that's what they've done. That's what that promotion has done. And next week we have Chris Style coming on to talk about the top 5 reasons why we should watch AEW. I'm just kidding more so, but I'm not watching it. I just because it's like another 5 hours of wrestling. I'm not going to add that to my plate, number one. And number two, I just times I watched it, I just haven't felt it. But Chris is going to try and convince us next week.
I've had no desire to watch this show. It's been on the entire time. And I'm watching Darby Allin right now. And Darby Allin's supposed to be something that's supposed to get the people going. I'm looking at it like, these people are fucking bored. They're literally waiting on something to happen. And nothing's going to happen. Nothing good.
Now, didn't AEW just come out with a new US belt that looks pretty bad?
Oh,
No, it's the
their
All
belts aren't good
American.
either.
No, their World Heavyweight Championship looks like a play on itself. It looks like it just keeps building on itself. Some kind of
Yeah, I don't.
What does it look like? It reminds me of something that we've seen before. You remember when WCW had that big ass change in 2000 when they had the Titantron change when they had it opening up? That's
Yeah,
what that belt reminds me of. Just something that kind of just constantly goes like this. Like I'm playing an accordion or some shit. Like it's just random as fuck. It's big, it's gaudy, it's kind of like they just put a whole bunch of gold together and they just wanted it to be big and shiny. It doesn't really look like a belt. It looked like something for boxing, more or less. Like I can see that as a boxing championship, if anything.
yeah. I don't like many of their belts either. They're not just appealing, but so we have our list, and I think we are right. I think we're bang on. I think most people would agree that the Winged Eagle is the greatest wrestling championship belt ever. Like nothing like in terms of prestige, in terms of the guys who held it, but just the look of the belt. It's timeless. It's got that clean look that I still think you bring it back today and it still looks good. It does not like it still sells in the bunches.
Oh yeah.
Because like, like I know you could buy it still, but like it would sell more. The big gold belt, of course, the IC title, any version of the IC title, that IC title for me, the one that Ricky brought was so sweet.
Yeah.
The WCW belt, around 91, Luger had it in like Halloween Havoc against Stan Hansen. You had that really sweet US belt, and then the WWF Tag Team title belt is the final one. So Cam, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we had a great time, great episode. But we're gonna call it a night. And next week we're gonna talk AEW. We'll see how that goes. And until then, have a good one.
Thank you.
Peace.